Hey everyone! So I think this might be a little bit longer of a video. Hopefully you find it inspiring and it doesn't bore you to death. So I received a message on Facebook yesterday from someone, and I'm just going to pick out the questions that were in the email. One of them was, how long have you been playing? And do you take or have you taken lessons with a teacher? I am going to release this just to patrons, but I might also release it on YouTube because I seem to get this question a lot, and I think this would be a good video to refer people to when they do ask me that question. I know exactly where this person's coming from because when I was learning, I was seeking out other guitarists that I really liked and interviews of theirs to see what their discipline was learning guitar, who their inspirations are, etc. So I think what I'll do is I'll just do a little year timeline. I picked up the guitar when I was 16. It was an acoustic guitar that my dad got me. It was a Fender acoustic guitar, and I have really small hands. I know you can't tell from the camera, but I have really small hands. I call them paws. They are so small, but they are mighty. I picked it up when I was 16. I learned a few chords from a book, and that's about as far as it went because it was off to college, and it was really difficult for my hands on that particular guitar. It wasn't adjusted, and I left from Chicago and I went all the way to California for college. The next time I picked it up was in 2004. But at that point, I had sold the Fender acoustic and I bought a baby Taylor because it's little and I thought it would be better for me to learn on. So I pick up the baby Taylor and I start learning some chords and from a book still, and then I start writing music and composing songs. And at the time I knew somebody who said, now you can record your own songs. There's this Mac has this program called GarageBand that just came out not too long ago, and you can get an MBox, an audio interface, and you can record your own songs. And I got a job doing an acting job, so I got some money from that, and I bought a laptop and an MBox, and I was like, I'm set, I got my guitar, awesome! I go to Target and I'm looking for DVDs because I'm looking for inspiration. I'm like getting obsessed, getting the bug now. I want to be fed more guitar stuff. I see a DVD with this picture with an electric guitar. It says Stevie Ray Vaughan live in Austin. I go home, put it in my DVD player, and I'm like, whoa, forget acoustic. I want to play electric. So I ended up getting a gift, an electric guitar. It was an Ibanez. And I started trying to learn stuff. I even bought an SRV book that was like an annotated book, and I was like, what the heck? This is so technical. I can't do this. I can't compute, okay? I'm more of a emotional, feeling, listening, give me the basics and I'm good to go player. I get really stuck if you start telling me about theory and this is the third degree of the scale and all that stuff. I can't do it. So I let the electric guitar go pretty much, and I stuck to acoustic. I wrote a bunch of songs. I think I wrote like 30 songs, and then I started playing live, just solo shows with my acoustic guitar. By that point, I had gotten a bigger acoustic guitar, and I befriended somebody that I had met during those shows named Ted Wolfers, another musician, and we started doing some like duo stuff together and joint solo shows together. So that was cool. And I just kept on the acoustic route. And Ted actually helped me record my first CD. So that brings us to, I believe, 2006-ish. So in my apartment, he helped me record my CD, and he produced it It's called The Back Room. You can get an autographed copy of The Back Room on my website right now at www.dianarein.com. And if you haven't already, you can sign up for my newsletter and get free downloads of all covers and original songs that I do in 2016. I played rhythm and some lead on that, but when it came to me playing lead guitar on stage, I would freaking freeze up like a deer in headlights. My hands would sweat. I was not sure of myself. I was not confident of what I was doing, and I would always flub. Like, no fail, I would always flub. And so that scared me, and I just let it go for a while. I did start taking lessons with somebody in Chicago who was a great teacher, but it never panned out for me because I wasn't in the right mindset. I was scared of my own self. Yeah, it didn't work out at that time. So I let it go. And then decided I wanted to take up acting again. So that takes us into 2008, 2009, 2010. 2011 comes and I'm not playing music. I'm still acting. Maybe once in a while I will pick up my guitar, but it's nothing to, no shows or anything like that. And I develop a vocal polyp. Like, I had it, but I was dealing with it. But this time I was in acting class, I did some exercise, and it just went haywire, and my voice was shot. I could not talk for 2 weeks. So I went to a doctor. She suggested that the best way would be surgery. So 2011, I did my surgery. And, you know, let me just clarify that during all of these years, from like 2006 to 2011, I wish to God that I could play guitar. It was like gnawing at me. It was this really awful feeling inside that I'm not on purpose. I'm not doing what I need to be doing, but for some reason there was a freaking wall up. So the end of 2011, after the whole throat surgery, I ended up writing a 20-minute film called Gypsy Gift. I produced it, I acted in it. If you guys are really interested in seeing it, I can send you the link because it's unlisted right now on YouTube. I was gonna send it to festivals, but the universe had other ideas for me. I'll get there in a second. And the storyline of Gypsy Gift was basically about a girl that lost her voice from some trauma in her life and played guitar and did not have her guitar anymore and longed to play guitar. So I mean, even when I was acting this storyline of music in my life and wanting to get back to it and the emotion that came with that, I put it into acting when all I really wanted to do was do music. So in any case, yeah, end of 2011, again, I became pregnant, and then 2012 comes along and I had my son in July of 2012. So for the next year after he was born, I was stuck to him like glue. There was one moment that I vividly remember of me holding him to fall asleep, and I was singing a song. Maybe it was like he was 9 months old, and I was just crying while I was singing because I didn't know who I was anymore, and I had this longing to sing and play guitar, and I just didn't know how to make it happen. And I had this little being that I loved more than life itself, and I didn't know how it was all gonna work out. Cut to a year later, my son's a year old, and my husband and I moved closer to family. And I'm still dealing with this, like, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? And my husband comes to me and he says, I just read this book. I think you might really like it. It's called The One Thing. So I read this book, and it's basically trying to help you find the one thing that really you can see yourself doing for the rest of your life. My whole life, I'm what you would call a multi-potentialite. I tend to gravitate towards things and want to master them. Even when I was pregnant, going back to that, I took up art. Like, hello, I had all this time in the world while this being was still inside me, growing, and I wanted to do art. What about music? Like, I was just so misguided. and had no clue who I was. What do you want to do? What's the one thing you can see yourself doing for the rest of your life? What will you devote the rest of your life to? And the answer was music. I finally want to learn how to play guitar the way I always wanted to play it. I don't want to have any regrets. I want to learn how to play guitar, and I want to sing. I want to sing blues rock. I want to sing the blues. I want to do all that. I began doing some stuff on my own, but I felt like I needed some guidance. So I found a website. It was called truefire.com. It's a big online learning guitar website. And it just so happens that there was a teacher on there named Richie that focused on blues rock. So I started up with her, and I took lessons with her for a year. And it was the best foundation. She gave me my wings pretty much. And from then on, that was year one. So that was November of 2013 that I started with Kelly. And then ongoing, so starting a little over a year ago, I just watched all of my influences, and I was very specific about the sound I liked and being attuned to that. Very specific about that, and what moved me inside. Like if I get a guttural sensation when I hear a piece of music, what's that? Like, I want to learn how to play that. Then I know that that's the right thing for me to focus on. I don't focus on classical, I don't focus on jazz, I don't focus on country, because for whatever reason those things don't just like jab me in the stomach with like, I want to learn how to play that. So that's number one for me. Always go to music that moves you, that gives you this guttural feeling, because otherwise you will not be motivated to pick up your guitar. And the first year that I started learning guitar, because I moved closer with family, I had a lot of help for, 3 hours a day, maybe start off as more like 1, but 1 to 3 hours a day, I would get to focus on music. The rest of the time I was with my son. So that was like a gift. So I took those 1 to 3 hours, and I really focused on music and learning guitar. And that served me well for the first year. The second year, I began recording what was to be my second album and then third album. So I wasn't able to play as much guitar. I was learning how to record and use all this new software. But I was still playing guitar because I was recording stuff, and when I wasn't recording anything or playing guitar, I was thinking about it. I was listening to the blues players that I love, and I was going to shows of blues players that I love. Now, all of you guys know I love Stevie Ray Vaughan, so I was watching his videos, and on YouTube, I don't know if you know how to do this, but you can slow down people's videos. You can go to settings, like that little wheel, and I think it says like speed, and it's usually on normal, so you can go and put it on 0.5, and then that slows it down halfway. So I would do that, and out of the living guitar players now, one of my favorites, and I'm wearing his shirt right now, it just so happens, is Philip Stace. Philip, and then last name is S-A-Y-C-E. He's from Canada, but now based in LA. So before he goes off and does shows elsewhere, like in Canada or Europe, he will do some practice runs in Los Angeles. So last year, I made it to every one of his shows. I made it there early so I could be front row, and one show I even videotaped his show. And I just consume. I consume when I'm not actually playing. I'm either thinking or consuming other people's music that I absolutely love. The other thing is, when I do it that way, I can see where I'm at and where they're at, and what my weaknesses are and what they're doing. I can gauge what they're doing and what separates me from them. And then I just started asking questions like, how are they doing this? Like, what do I need to learn? Like, if it's speed, what kind of drills can I do for speed? And then I go to YouTube, and there's so much great information on YouTube. I find drills for speed. Or if the biggest one was, how do I mix major and minor? Because these guys were doing a lot of minor pentatonics, but they were mixing major and minor. So it's taken me months, like months, to figure this stuff out. And I've seen, now for this particular theme of mixing major and minor, I have found a lot of videos on YouTube, but they weren't catered to my learning style, which is more like, I want a pattern, but then I want to see how that pattern gets situated within other things that I know. And so I watched a ton of those videos on mixing major and minor on YouTube. And over the last few months, I practiced that every single day, and I've come up with my own little method that I think of in my head that really brings it together, so that when I'm playing music, it's easier for me to find those patterns. It's easier for me to see how they sit on top of each other. So figuring out your weaknesses and asking questions about how you can get to the next level, it just never ends. It just keeps going, but you have to keep asking those questions, and that's what keeps you hanging in there, because you want to know more and more and more. So that's been this last year, and then now this current year I'm focusing on getting my music out there. So that requires social marketing, and that requires a lot more that might keep me away from the guitar, but I'm more adamant about practicing this year and that there's a better balance. But don't get me wrong, when I'm not playing, I'm still thinking and I'm still breathing and sleeping and guitar. Keep asking questions, keep staying hungry, keep being inspired, and sometimes you're gonna go one step forward, 2 steps back. So that's just the way the game goes. But then you'll notice that when you go forward, you'll have made some really big leaps. See, how much time are you able to devote to practice? The first year, 1 to 3 hours a day. Second year, about probably 3 to 4. And then this year, because my son is 3 and he's finally sleeping at night by himself for the most part, I get, 3.5 hours during the day, of which 1 hour is exercise, because you gotta stay healthy too. So 2.5 hours to do social media and play and record during the day, and then when he goes to sleep, I get about 3 hours to play everything that goes into music I do, and I get 6 hours a day. Otherwise, I'm taking care of my son. So you also have another career or job? I'm a mom, and music is my career. Before I go, I wanted to show you something that I learned from Kelly on truefire.com that really got me going, gave me my wings, and if you have that as a base, I think it would be really beneficial, because then when you look at other people's videos that you like that are guitar players, you can start seeing how these patterns fit in their playing and how you can grow from them. What I'm going to teach you now is an extended pentatonic scale from the 1st position pentatonic and the 4th position pentatonic. But there are some prerequisites. You need to know your major and minor chords, bar chords on the stemming from your E string and your A string, and then you're going to need to know your minor pentatonic 5 positions. So once you know that, let's say we're in A major, you can play a minor pentatonic scale over an A major chord. So I would play the 1st minor pentatonic scale. Now here's where it gets cool. In order to create longer licks, I'm going to merge the top of the 5th no, sorry, yes. I'm going to merge the top of the 5th pentatonic scale with the 1st pentatonic scale, and then I'm going to extend that into the 2nd pentatonic scale. So I'm going to take the first couple notes of the 5th pentatonic scale. I'm going to merge that into the 1st pentatonic scale. And then I'm going to merge that, extend that into the 2nd pentatonic scale. Sorry. And then I'm going to go back the way I came. Now you can do that with the 1st pentatonic scale and also with the 4th pentatonic scale. So in A major, the 4th pentatonic scale would reside right here, and it goes like this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend that by taking the first few notes of the 3rd pentatonic scale, and then merging that into the 4th pentatonic scale, and then extending that into the 5th pentatonic scale. And then go back the way I came. So it was those extended versions of the pentatonics that really got me up and going. Now as I learned them and got really familiar with them, I filled in some gaps with the other pentatonics just because I wanted to, and I wanted to be more proficient at the whole fretboard. And you can do the same. Just know your bar chords on the low E string, the low A string, the major and minor, how to play those, and then the chords. And then learn your minor pentatonic scales, the 5 separate minor pentatonic scales, and then learn these extended versions. And I think it will help you a lot to get up and going, and watch your favorite guitar players, watch them like a hawk, see what they're doing, and just keep at it. That's all I could say. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of devotion, a lot of love, but it really pays back a lot in return. Like it's your friend, it becomes your friend. I really feel like my guitars are my friends, and that's a great place to be at. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, when I was I think it was back in 2006, and I did a party. I was playing with a band called Triple Threat Band, and it was my husband's birthday party, and I really wanted to play Pride and Joy, and so I went up there and I tried to play Pride and Joy, and thinking I had practiced before, but I had no freaking clue what I was doing. There is tape of this somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I pray to God that it never comes out. I totally botched that song. Luckily, everybody was too drunk to notice, but that was a driver for me to redeem myself. If you fall off the horse, if you make mistakes, if you get discouraged, it's normal. You just gotta get back up and use it to keep you going, use it to keep you driving towards your goals of playing guitar. Use it as an inspiration. Don't let it get you down. You know, mistakes happen. You just grow from them and get better as a player. I suspect I will make plenty of mistakes on stage. Hopefully I won't, because I'm practicing a lot. But I'm only human, so just keep going, let it drive you. I hope this was informative. Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying my daily vlogs here on Patreon. I'm enjoying doing them. Keep on playing if you play guitar. Keep on dreaming if you play guitar, even if you don't. Never lose your dreams. Never stop believing in yourself. Go out and get them. Alright, talk to you soon. Tomorrow. Okay, bye.